So I get this question all the time: what's going to be the fastest way to level my Death Knight? And are there any solo farms I can do to make the leveling process from 70 to 80 even faster? Well, actually, I've been testing out quite a few different dungeons, and today we're going to start with the first video of these solo farms that you can do. In this video, we're going to get you up to 800,000 experience per hour. I'm going to be showing you guys how to farm Utgarde Keep solo as a Death Knight right at level 70, and you can do this in just fresh gear, or you can do this in very good gear. It makes it a lot easier if you make mistakes, which I will show you. Actually, probably my worst run that I've done in all of the runs that I did of this, and the build I actually got for this run was actually something I got from one of my guildmates and salad bakers, so shout out to Supremes. The build that I chose to do is actually a little bit different than what you're seeing in the background. What I chose to move was actually acclamation, taking 1 point out of acclamation. Let me just take these all away, and putting 1 point into chill blains. This means that your frost fever will actually slow things by 15%. It won't affect actually the dragons, but it'll affect the actual humanoids. And then you're going down obviously and getting howling blast. One thing that is actually vital for this farm is actually something that's not out yet, but will be out on launch, is the glyph of Howling Blast. So you need to get yourself the glyph of Howling Blast. It applies frost fever to pretty much everyone that gets hit by Howling Blast, and then you get the glyph of Icy Touch, so your frost fever does 20% extra damage. You're also going down to get morbidity as well as epidemic. Epidemic is less crucial, but morbidity is really nice. You could even actually opt to potentially move away from epidemic and move into Ravenous Dead for a little bit extra strength, which would just apply to you doing a little bit more damage. But again, choosing to grab chill blains, I've actually found that my runs are a lot faster and a lot more smooth than grabbing something like acclamation. Although you could move into getting something like Lichborn, which would be really nice for sustain on the second pull, because when you use Lichborn, you can actually target yourself with this macro to hit yourself with your own death coils to heal yourself. With that being said, let's dive right into the run itself. You're going to start off in Frost Presence, and then you're going to hit both of these main mobs right here with Chains of Ice. You want to hit them almost one after another because it's actually really nice to sync up your frost runes as they get a little bit closer to you, and you just bring them kind of back here towards the entrance to one side on the left, and then Chains of Ice them one more time and run forward. Some people like to stay into Unholy Presence here and then switch to Frost. I stay in Frost because I don't want to use an extra potion of speed or a swiftness potion here. And then you're going to actually pop all of your defensive CDs. This is the one time in the first pull where you're going to actually take a little bit of damage, and you can actually get dazed here. You can see that I'm about to get dazed. I wanted to show the roughest run to show you just how easy this farm is, really. And then you're just going to freeze everything with Hunger and Cold. And then I just decided to heal myself up with my ghoul, and then you want to hit these outer two mobs with your Chains of Ice, as well as swapping to Unholy Presence here to move faster. You can actually do this a little bit earlier too to get ahead. And then what you're gonna do is actually kite these mobs directly through this left pack you're gonna see coming up right here. What it will do is actually activate these mobs by themselves, or you can choose to hit them and Chains of Ice them to release this little flame vent that lets you move forward. Then you can see you're just going to kite all the way around and do the same thing. Whenever anything gets close, you can hit them with Chains of Ice, and now you pretty much have fully secured the first pull. Now you just literally kite all the way around in circles and just hit them with Hunger and Cold and your Death and Decay. Use any CDs you have to increase your damage from here on, but pretty much it's impossible to die if you have this Chillblain talent I was talking about earlier. You can pretty much just kite this really easily inside of the room around a short circle. You don't need to do a wide circle, which is what you absolutely need to do if you don't have Chillblain, as well as for the second pull. So just run all the way around in this circle, hitting things with Death Coil to make them die faster, and of course just on CD, just using Hunger and Cold and your Death and Decay. That's literally all you need to do for this first pull. And you are a Frost build. I should mention that even though we're playing Frost, you absolutely can use a two-hander. You're not actually meleeing anything, so you're not getting any extra damage from having two one-handers, and you don't even have the talent Nerves of Cold Steel. So whatever gives you the most actual stamina is usually the safest, or the most attack power is also a really safe play to just use to stay alive during this. I would personally use a two-hander because it gives you a ton of stamina, and use Rune of Sword Shattering just for some extra parry so you don't die. But you shouldn't really take much damage at all past that very beginning of this pull. And then it's just literally rinse and repeat around in a circle. So I'm just gonna speed it up for you guys. You can see this first pull dies in about 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and at this time, you're at about 1.2 million XP per hour, but that was a very quick pull, so you need to do more. And what we're gonna do is move on to the second pull, which is the only pull that's a little bit scary. The first pull, you should absolutely get down within your first attempt. It is super easy, you'll basically never wipe. But the second pull is where things get a little bit more juicy. What you're gonna wanna do is summon your ghoul, because you're gonna use him to heal yourself soon, and then you're gonna hit Chains of Ice on this Drake handler in the corner. Also, you are going to want to be in Frost Presence here, and this is where you're going to use your Swiftness Potion. You don't want to have to use 2 Swiftness Potions because that will just cost you more money, but also if you are engineering, you could just use Rocket Boots here, and then you're going to Hungering Cold to freeze these ads, and then just use any abilities you have like Chains of Ice or Taunt to pull all of the rest of the mobs. There is this little Drake in the corner, and my Taunt was on a weird keybind because I was setting this character up on the beta, so I did not grab that extra mob. This means that I missed out on a little bit extra XP, and this again, guys, is going to be my most scuff run by far. This is the run where I actually take quite a bit of damage. So what you're going to want to do, like any sort of kiting strategy, is do a very wide circle around the actual room, and so wide in fact that you can kind of hit these little walls. You can see as I'm running up to it, you can kind of hit these little walls and then make your turn in. That's pretty much the safest way. And you can see that sometimes the actual mobs will catch up to you if you fuck up, but you can just heal through it or actually just outrun them again. You're literally faster than these mobs. And if you did have Rocket Boots, they're pretty much never going to catch up to you. You already have such a large head start. But if you do decide to run into one of the boxes or run into anything and get stuck, just know you have an oh shit button by using your defenses and just running away. You literally can just make it out of here if you have a little bit of gear. If you are fully naked, then you'll probably die when these mobs catch you, but they literally should not catch you. You don't need to worry about that. It's not really a thing that should happen if you're not playing like a bot, like I was in this video right here. Again, to just show you guys how easy it is to do this pull even without actually having to play perfect. And as you get used to it, you actually get this rotation down perfectly, where you can see that I'm just doing a very wide circle here and running into these little walls and cutting really sharply, kind of straight towards a little box. In every little ledge that you can see, these little openings, there is a box you can kind of aim for. You aim for that box and then just make a sharp turn from that directly towards the next little ledge. And then right as you basically hit the ledge, just make another sharp turn towards the next box or the next area. You just do this on repeat. And again, if you did have the Lichborn talent, you could heal yourself here if you get in any sort of trouble, but realistically, you shouldn't need to. That just makes it easier if you're not used to kiting things or you're not used to doing mage farms or anything like that. But as you get used to this, within your first couple runs, you pretty much have this fully memorized. In my very first run, I literally took 0 damage, and then I did this maybe 10 times trying out some different specs, and then the run in the background again is the worst one I did. Now you're gonna kill off the proto drakes before you kill off anything else, so the proto drakes will die and then you'll deal with the humanoids. I thought this might scuff me by having the humanoids being slowed while the proto drakes aren't slowed, so that it might actually cost me a little bit of time on the pull from having the talent I talked about earlier. But that actually wasn't the case. I still completed this run in exactly 9 minutes, and this left me at 800,000 experience per hour. Well, if you finish this run this quickly because you have enough gear, I'm pretty much just using a little bit of the brutal gear on this ult, then you can move on and pull another pull. And this is where things get actually probably a little bit sketchy. So there's this far back pull right here of the last bit of humanoids, which actually, if you had a cloaking device, you could cloak past these and get them humanoid mobs right in front of the last boss, and then just kind of rocket boots or swiftness pot away from these mobs. But I'm trying to make it so that you have to use as few swiftness potions as possible. The scary part is that the strategists do this throw, and they throw this axe at you, and no matter what, they're gonna eventually get in range and be able to do it. But one thing I've actually discovered is if you kite really close to the middle here, you can kind of LOS them so that they never actually get their cast off. Then you've just got to deal with the rune caster, which is casting its little shields on everyone and heals. What you do is actually just set up a focus macro for him, set focus on him, and strangulate to interrupt. You can do this because strangulate is one ranged. It takes a blood rune, which you're not using both of your blood runes ever. You're just using one for death and decay. This extra pull takes you about 2 minutes to do, and it's only really if you have enough gear that you killed everything else so quickly that you were going to hit a lockout. But if that's not the case, this pull is not necessary, and it is obviously the least XP per hour because you're only pulling a few mobs compared to pulling a huge group. And that's pretty much it, guys. That is the solo farm for Utgarde Keep as a Death Knight. And for these runs, you will want to have swiftness potions, so you can pretty much expect them to go up in price, out farm the herbs or buy the herbs and make a ton of swiftness pots for yourself right now. This starts out at about 800,000 XP per hour, which is absolutely insane. It's so much better than anything I really expected for Death Knight to have right now on launch. So this is probably going to be your fastest way to level. Thank you guys all for watching. We're on our way to 35k subs, and I'm going to do another giveaway once we hit 35k subs. So if you do like the videos, if you want more solo content, if you want more builds or anything else for Death Knights, or just anything for Wrath Classic in general, of course, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, I did enable channel memberships, which do have exclusive videos there, which are just some really juicy things that I don't necessarily think are massively widely popular, but they're going to help you min-max as a Death Knight and a Hunter and a Rogue within Wrath of the Lich King. So if you want to check those out, or you just want to support the channel, join the channel memberships. Anyways, guys, good luck out there, and I'll see you all in Northrend.